is a call to arms from our fellow craftsmen and women to go deeper, and through our art to battle against fear, self-centeredness, and exclusivity of our predominantly narcissistic culture, and through our craft to cultivate a more empathetic and understanding society by revealing intimate truths that serve as a forceful reminder to folks that when they feel broken and afraid and tired, they are not alone. We are united in that we are all human beings, and we are all together on this horrible, painful, joyous, exciting, and mysterious ride that is being alive. Now, as we act in the continuing narrative of Stranger Things, we 1983 Midwesterners will repel bullies. We will shelter freaks and outcasts, those who have no home. We will get past the lies. We will hunt monsters. And when we are at a loss amidst the hypocrisy and the casual violence of certain individuals and institutions, we will, as per Chief Jim Hopper, punch some people in the face when they seek to destroy the weak, the disenfranchised, and the marginalized. And we will do it all with soul, with heart, and with joy. We thank you for this responsibility. Thank you.
So black survival inside of a white supremacist framework requires adaptation. And adaptation inside of a measurement system becomes mimicry. And mimicry, when internalized, turns to warfare amongst the measured. But there is a white-created metrics of worthiness that have been internalized, weaponized, and now enforce exile on blackness itself. So white metrics are now used in internal black wars, and we're just going to kind of depict them and go through a few of them that are kind of really present. So the first one is the respectability war. So the white metric is obedience equals safety and success equals assimilation. So the internalization that it looks like is dress right, speak right, and don't give them a reason. Right? Versus, I refuse to shrink myself, I survive loud. And the manifestation of this is that educated black women are policed for twerking, working class black men are dismissed as thugs, and queer folks are erased from the real black community, right? The real black community. Okay. Real, you see what I mean? Survival strategies are just turned into shame weapons. That's the result. And then we have the education versus ignorance divide, right? So the white metric is intellect equals legitimacy. And the internalization looks like this. Degrees are safety armor. School as a savior myth. And hood knowledge is dismissed as dangerous. And the manifestation is, if only we educated them more. I got mine, why can't you? Exhausted black women judged for leaving, not healing. And we mistook academic fluency for moral clarity. Okay, like let's say a guy who hits women. Right, like, if I put him in Harvard, he's just going to beat up everybody in Harvard. Okay, even though he became educated. And even when he becomes a lawyer, he's still violent. That's because educating someone and teaching them empathy are wildly different concepts. Then there's the hypermasculinity trap. So the white metric is power equals dominance and emotion equals weakness. And the black internalization is strength as silence, fatherhood as authority, not nurture, softness coded as feminine, feminine coded as unworthy, right? And then that's how you get to the shape of real men don't cry. You know, misogynoir in black culture, well, black hip-hop culture in particular too, and suppression of black trans visibility. And the result is protection became control and pain became hierarchy. And then we have, right, number 4, which is the class and consumer divide. So capital equals character. That's the white metric. And the internalization is success is measured through wealth signals, not well-being, and poverty is seen as a personal flaw, not a structural condition. So that's how you end up hearing, you just lazy. Right? Black elders shaming new mutual aid efforts as unrealistic, and financial shame used to gatekeep leadership. Right, but the result just turns out like this. We lose the communal ethic in pursuit of the individual deliverance. But then we have the trauma Olympics, which is suffering equals credibility, pain must be proven, only authentic black pain counts. Right, struggle credentials weaponized. Right, and then we get those with therapy who instability or different trauma are disbelieved. And it looks like this: foster kids versus suburban kids, street survival versus therapy language. You ain't real, you ain't been through what I've been through. Right, and the healing becomes guilt and care becomes privilege. And this hurts more than whiteness ever did because it's internalized surveillance, right? Because the jail now lives inside the village. The jail lives inside the village now, right? And because now we are the gatekeepers of our own exile. So there's really a twist to this that's important to understand the nuance. It's also the site of our greatest power, because once we see the measurement, we can burn the scale, because hypermasculinity is pain as armor, because respectability is fear and makeup, because disrespect is not always deviance, it's grief. Okay, like, and really because they're still builders. There's still healers, and there's still artists who know how to bring us back together. The war really isn't black on black. It's a war between who we became to survive and who we were before we were measured. Right? That's the real definition of all of this. Because all of these metrics are just tragedies in motion, playing out in front of you. Right? Like one conversation that people have been referencing me to is the educated black woman And, the black men who are, there's like 50% of them cooling out, but like the other 50% who didn't go to college and now pursue hypermasculinity. But to believe that both situations are not cases of tragedy, right? Like the fact that the black woman had to do all that to be seen, and the fact that he has to do that, right? Both of those are measurements of metrics to survive, right? Like being measured against white society. So really, that hope this gave some clarity, at least on some of my POV. I don't really join that level of conversation because there really is some nonsense going on. Not necessarily from the people believing that better should be out there and better should be achievable, but just from the gender-based blame. Yeah, no, I'm not. I just don't have the day. I don't have the day for that. That's not in my calendar.
You know how I know you guys are not interested in solutions, that you are perfectly happy with what's going on? Rather than address the situations, you keep still wanting to address the people. You keep still wanting to talk about DT. You still want to keep talking about JD. You still want to keep talking about Kamala. You don't want to take personal responsibility. You just want to spend endless amounts of time critiquing your leaders. The people who have zero proximity to you whatsoever. Your leaders. And you say, our GDP, our government, our tax dollars. None of that shit is ours. It's theirs, and they prove that to you all the time. But you guys are so comfortable being in these panels and in these spaces and on these platforms, talking about, arguing about, and discussing the prison as a prisoner from within the bounds of the prison, not analyzing it from a place of objectivity. Y'all are just here to argue, so you must be comfortable with your enslavement. Have the system you deserve.
You got to get scared that people who are not criminals are getting lassoed up and deported.
Yeah, people were scared of that, Joe. That's why they said so, like months ago. It's almost as if this outcome was actually extremely predictable. Before the election, when your man toured the country talking about immigration, then talking about undocumented immigration, then talking about heinous violent crime, always in that order, kind of stacking the three concepts on top of each other. That wasn't because he only wanted to target violent criminals. It's because he wanted people to associate the idea of immigration with the idea of violent crime. That way, when he started doing violent things towards immigrants, often fully documented ones, without any kind of due process, without demonstrating that they've actually done anything wrong, people are much less likely to feel any kind of empathy or outrage towards that because he's already done the work of dehumanizing immigrants in the country's collective subconscious. This is like propaganda 101. It's the same reason the Pentagon has spent millions financing movies where Russia are the bad guys, or American soldiers are the heroic good guys, or Muslims are the evil terrorists. That way, when the American government either commits or financially supports violence towards Muslims, the American people are a lot more likely to just kind of picture this and assume something heroic is going on, and conveniently forget that we're usually actually talking about communities made up of human beings. Essentially, if you're an authoritarian government looking to target a group of people inhumanely, it's a lot easier to get away with that. If you create a narrative that dehumanizes those people, then you repeat it over and over and over again until it sinks into your people's ideology, where it receives less scrutiny and basically overrides their humanity. Or as your buddy Elon Pelon might put it, where it deactivates their empathy exploit.
The biggest secret weapon behind the Underground Railroad was not Harriet Tubman, and it wasn't white people operating safe houses. It were black men, actually. These men were sailors, they were ship captains, they were ferry operators. Most people who traveled the Underground Railroad did not go by land, they went by water. Water was faster. It's also safer. Not completely safe, but you're better off on water than trying to go from Virginia to Pennsylvania on foot. That's not going to work out for you. These men, you don't hear about them though, right? Because if there's a church that was a part of that network, you can go to the church and see it, and that's really cool. But those boats, those ferries, those little ships, they're gone. And they definitely didn't keep passenger records for obvious reasons. The other reason why you don't hear about these black men is, frankly, white scholar-centered white people. People like Wilbur Siebert, who wrote about the Underground Railroad. He focuses on white people in that work, and they are due their praise, right? But other people follow that. But most scholarship will tell you, like, no, really, black men. And by the way, what were these black men called? Blackjacks. So if you want more history like this, check out my course, Race Critical. Go to racecritical.com. American history is way bigger and way deeper than anything you were taught in school.